Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments based on the scriptures of the scroll of the Lamb of God. The Ten Commandments written on tablets by the finger of the divine eternal Father. You children of the earth, promise before knowing a human life to fulfill in your simplicity feeling the highest morality that can be conceived, and to attend to your request, the Divine Father placed the Ten Commandments in human life. They represent and remind you on earth of the morality promised in the kingdom of heaven. You might be deceived by the fleeting comfort that money provides, thinking you had never studied my scriptures that could happen by failing to comply with the commandments in your daily life cannot be overlooked. Only the arrogant will come to know the power of God, which is first expressed through the living doctrines and then in nature. Every new law must be first thought and then executed. To do the positive will bring chaos to the world, as everyone will be deluded and many will take their own lives believing that the end of the world has come. No, children, there is not a such thing. What exists is the final judgment on a way life that is not in kingdom of heaven, that is not in my commandments, and I will be a proof the human evolution. The commandments were given for everyone. They are the only ones that can unify the world. My divine commandments do not divide the world. Only the divine commandments could and still save the world from the weeping incarnate Jesus that is approaching. First commandment: you should love your God and Creator among all the things, and your neighbors as yourself. Second commandment: you should not worship on any image, temple, or likenesses of any kind. Third commandment: you should not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not behold him in guiltless who takes his name in vain. Fourth commandment: remember the Sabbath day and keep them holy. 6 days you should labor and do all your work, but the 7 days is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Fifth commandment: honor your father and your mother, so that your days might be prolonged in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. Sixth commandment: you shall not kill. Seventh commandment: you shall not fornicate, you shall not commit adultery. Eighth commandment: you shall not steal. Ninth commandment: you should not bear false witnesses against your neighbor, no lies. 10th commandment: you should not covet your neighbor's gods. Based on the Holy Scriptures, Exodus chapter 20, Deuteronomy chapter 5. The demanding days of the Creator bear the self-equality to degree unknown to you. This equality is represented in the Ten Commandments. Where did you get the word private? Nothing is private in the nature. The divine root gives and takes away, meaning that every divine commandments have been observing the actions of every human. Him bring through the centuries. They are living words of God, who is everywhere in the highest morality that the human mind can imagine. Such morality is represented in my commandments. There is no other knowledge in this world that surpasses them. My divine commandment teach equality. Inequality that is respected will have made the earth paradise. The Creator is infinite and it represents in all the things, yet His commandments are the supreme because they emerge from his free will. The divine morality of my divine commandments was created so that universal communist government could arise on earth, one single government and one single God. Is there any other doctrine more humble than the which they share material things in common? The hour has come when all the power that is not on the eternal Father will fall by his first own law. With the measurement they used, they will measure. The measure is the commandment, and by the commandments they will fall. Right, Alpha and Omega. Lord, you blew the winds, and the sea is your child. Who is like you, O Lord? From the eternal to the eternity, you are the voice of God.
Holy Greetings, Matthew chapter 16, verses 27. For the Son of the Man will come to the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he will repay each one according to his works. Apocalypse 20, verses 12. I also saw the dead, and great and small, standing before God. The books were opened, and then another book, which is the book of life. The dead that were judged according to what had done, according to what is written in the book. 2 Corinthians 5, verses 10. For we must well appear before the judgment seat of the Christ, so that each one might receive according to what he has done while he was the body, or the whether the good or the bad. What will come? Divine Title 1518. The flying saucers come observing infinity worlds because they participate in its original creation. They observe their own world of the flying saucers, where they might their galactic hierarchy and the lovely subordinated to the Divine Father Jehovah. Planet Earth has celestial ships that are called Trino ships because they are originated from the Trino galaxy. Each galaxy of the expansive thinking universe has its own galactic names, which had no end. In the divine year 2001, this world will see the land and the last east of the planet, place of residence of the firstborn son. Telepathic scroll. Divine title. Constructions of the flying saucers continue. The living numbers participates in the constructions of the flying saucers. In the union between the living numbers and the living molecules in the sensations, the all lack of life, as understood by the human spirit, is infinity and related. This sensation is proportional to the very characteristics that every spirit requests with respect to the lack of the life. In every sense of the kind of matter that has been asking how to know, on planet Earth, the human creatures only see certain transformations and renewals and its elements of nature. The cause of the molecular cohesion remains a mystery, because the human creature himself asks for the mystery, because he doesn't know it. The unknown causes are many in the trap of life. The proof of light itself is himself a mystery to those who ask God for it. The living number and the living molecule is also participates in all the mysteries of the human spirit. In the flying saucer, the mystery also exists in its solar hierarchy, because no one in the universe knows everything. Only the Divine Father Jehovah knows everything. For the crew of the flying saucers, there is no mystery regarding the earth, because in their solar bursts, they have surpassed the scale of reincarnations of the human creature. They have lived what the human creature is currently experiences. The glorious paths are demonstrated in the wonderful powers of the solar bird. Each act of creation in them represents trillions of its sciences that live in trillions of planets. Suns and infinity creations are known to the terrestrial humanity. The solar crew were also born microscopic and humble, just as the human creature was born. They also went through the experiences of death. They were also from microscopic worlds, from the worlds of microbes. No one is born gigantic. The gigantic was a microbe, and microbe will be gigantic. Infinity kinds of times and lives are lived in flying saucers. In the solar laws, or the form of light is chosen instantly, that is to say, the solar crew member, through his mental solar power, transforms himself into one infinity forms that he got in his past reincarnations. This power to return to what is going to call in a state of instant reincarnation in the kingdom of heaven. The living number in this law makes intensely alliances with the numbers and molecules to relieve in the present, which it had already lived at another moment and other circumstances. The transformation power of solar crew member is according to divine solar hierarchy, being the solar firstborn the only ones in power after the divine Father Jehovah. The solar crew member has power over the elements of planetary natures. Other words, he is visit. They are visits that, leaving the microcosm, enter into the microcosm. The divine causes of such visits at infinity, among the many causes in that of the divine final judgment. The planet Earth is approaching this lap of judgment. The living number, by making alliances with numbers of other existences, begin to know numerical glories of the entire past, in which each numeral its sciences fascinates him and inspires him into carry out to the other future requests for numeral reincarnations. The living numbers learn within the mind of the solar crew member, and being in his own solar light, he does not know has limits, which are the limits of his solar abode, just as the sensations and virtues as assimilated to the laws of the human mind. The living number, when reincarnating in creatures of flesh of the solar creatures, does so in continuous expansion, because as the creature experiences its physical or mental development, it sees its own geometries of limits. Cellular growth in instance by instance, numerical and geometries, and it happens inside the microscopic unit of the body. The same thing happens moment by moment on the planet itself. What's inside himself is equal to what's outside in his expansive growth. The difference is that the human requires microscopic geometry, and the elements of the planet ask for greater geometry. The law of renewal in all abound the all beings with the most microscopic that the mind can imagine. The living number, both in matter and spirit, arises from the invisible to visible. In the solar hierarchies, they see everything that happens in the invisible part of themselves. They converse with the cherubs of the invisible. This is called in the kingdom of heaven knowledge of what is not seen. The human creature does not see what is emerging from the microscopic dimension from his own sensations, outside many senses. More, they do not see the geometry of the persistent. As a body of flesh increases, the living number passes through infinity microscopic galaxies or infinity philosophies. There are microscopic reincarnation and the microcosm planets. At every moment and trillions of times, the love of reincarnation or renewal is occurring in every body of flesh. Each pore of the body of flesh participates in the changes of sensation that occurs in the pore galaxy. The same thing happens in solar parents. In every sensation that a creature, both above and below, experience in a microscopic reincarnation that they are living within themselves, the renewal of the whole viewpoint, the whole moment by moment, are invisible reincarnations, in which the creature who asks to know the life of trial only feels and sees nothing of this reincarnation. This love was requested by every human spirit and by all other beings of the nature. The test of light consists of going deeper into oneself so as not to make immoral mistakes and immorality. On the test of light, which was not analyzed in self by the perspective spirit, such morality does not remain on earth. Because it was a strange morality that not even seemed the Creator himself asked for God for it. When the divine morality was requested in the kingdom of heaven, it was requested as a whole that includes the interior and exterior, that it was inside and outside, the spiritual and the material. It was asked, for it was felt and not seen, and it was touched and not seen. The living numbers also reincarnate in the living morality. In the presence of the thinking spirit's morality, like the spirit sits and the virtues, speak and express himself before God in his lots of morality. The living number that already had its own numeral morality asked for reincarnating and aligned himself with the spirit to once again to know another morality. The test of the early life, what is the living number, did not ask for, nor anyone above all. What's immorality of the beauty, what is not asked for, and for in which at the same time occurs during the development of planetary life tests. It's called foreign to the kingdom of heaven. The strange device, the score of the light, gained by the spirit. In the test of light, it's easier for those who did not know the vision of the beauty in their life trials to enter in kingdom of heaven, so that those who only heard that it's out to their hearsay can enter. The living number, like all the other virtues of the whole upon the whole, complains about everything strange that the spirit experiencing and did not ask for. When everyone promised themselves equal rights, it's in a future sensation that they will have to live in a distant earth of evidence, immorality, and the beauty were not asked of God. Because nothing unjust is asked of God, the test of light consists in offering mental resistances to the other strange sensation that are called immorality and the beauty. No one should have known them in the trial of light. In the flying saucers, they observed the strange behavior of millions of mortal people and libertines scattered through the test of planet. The solar parents observed the wonderful solar television screens of the flying saucers, and with infinite sorrow they see them in the crying and garnishing sea of the divine final judgment. Because all solar hierarchy of the flying saucers see the future, all those who belong to the microscopic planets, thus planets, the living number of flying saucers also grieves, because also possesses in numerical feelings, just as the human creature possesses them. The prophesied living number communicates to the non-prophesied numbers to the future events that are looming in a certain planet. Divine Father Jehovah, are these not all living numbers or prophecies? By virtue of their own divine numerical free will, some are and others are not. just as happens among human creatures. What is above is equal to what's below. The requests for sensation that no one knows and they wish to know that are not same in the spirit when they ask to know them in their future incarnations or birth again. To know again the future lives that is not known, the feeling or choosing what is not known comes from the spirit. And the unknown, which also has a free will, makes the divine alliances with the spirit that visits and wishes to know it. And the place and meeting is set with the divine alliances and the reincarnation will be made. The living number is born again by uniting with this or that spirit. The numeral families of this house of Jehovah choose infinity souls of light of or thinking individualities. This occurs in the midst of unprecedented multitudes in infinity galaxies that they have and will never end. They were being and they were they and the eternal mystery, those in whose causes every presence of the expansive thinking universe, the living number being in everything imaginable, forms region in all alliances to know and unknown reincarnations. The usual and the new, in the flying sources, the geometry numbering moves to the rhythm of which is the solar fathers give their divine birth or orders. And it happened that its infinite perfection that had imposed that it has to be a using means and user typical and very ancient reincarnations among them, and it has a sealed and envelopes divine orders that being kept for eternities. The sealed envelopes are opened. These divine orders correspond to the divine plan of the creations of the divine Father Jehovah. These laws are for improvement in sensations not yet experienced by the solar crew. Because even if it is perfect, not everything is known, only Father knows everything. The flying sources radiate a magnetism of color that correspond to the instant alliances that the solar parents made with the elements of planetary natures of the worlds they visit. These alliances are made by giving loving mental orders to the cherubs of the elements. And phenomena occurs that are now within the reach out that the signs of the planet being visited. Among other the infinity phenomena that are overcoming gravity, producing a speed greater than that of the light. That or shrinks to the point of becoming invisible. That or penetrating other presence within a present that is appearing in the same time in a future of that, being in another point of the cosmos that is all transforming into comets, planets, suns, and all the flying sources, shapes, and characteristics. The list of transformation is infinity. And the higher the solar hierarchy to which the ship belongs, the greatest is also the power of transformation. There are powers that can be removed planets or sun from their orbits in the whole entire galactic systems. Flying saucers have enough magnetism to make the entire universe disappear, and magnified rays enough to make a planet's ocean boil. These powers always intervene in the divine judgments of the texting planets, as is the Earth planet that is at the gates of the divine final judgment, which is on creatures requested in kingdom of heaven. Living numbers study the planets of the same solar television screens as flying saucers. The living numbers already know the crying incarnations of sea, which hovers over the strange and unknown system of light, coming out of the strange lots of gold. They know everything about what will happen during the last judgment. Divine Father Jehovah, can I also see in a soul television what will happen during the divine final judgment? You can see, son. Oh, what immense crowd. What are you seeing, son? I see, Divine Father Jehovah, that the crowds are destroying and burning enormous buildings. I can distinguish very well what the buildings they are. They are the so-called churches and cathedrals, which arose during the development of life or trials. This is how I see now, Divine Father Jehovah. And everyone cries with anger and despair, and is crying and garnishing of tears on is the greatest witnesses that it comes from the human spirit. The tragedy of knowing that because of the strange forms of faith, his followers will not enter in kingdom of heaven again. The strange thing that it was divided those who shall unite it. I know, son, that everything you are seeing on the solar television or the flying saucers knew the since you were a child. By your divine grace, this is how a divine Father Jehovah is. What a blind guide of the blind, divine eternal Father. That's right, son. The same words that you just pronounced it, the same we're reading as a divine warning in the divine gospel of God. This divine warning, son, is for every spirit that influences to another with his own teachings. Any teaching, whether it might be had in, should have never had included the strange division, because only Satan divides and ends up dividing himself. True spirituality divides to no one. He who cultivates some form of faith in the truthful light should have been careful not to have imitated Satan in his own form of faith. The fall of the spirit that were religious in the three trials of light was due to the strange blindness, that perpetuating that it was believed to be true, including division. And I will tell you some first, that the easier for those who sought and perfect themselves on God individuality to enter in kingdom of heaven, because such a divided no one, so that those who sought a group, sects, or religions can enter, because they divide many. God being everywhere is also every individuality, and the individual search is for God, the most sincere. Every sincere search coming from out oneself received is full reward of light. The collective search that divine many receives nothing, because second by second, all parallel to faith in self, and it was dividing without ceasing. Every religious believing the test of light divides its fruits by the number of religion that exists in the words of the test. The test of light that it was asked God in consist or not dividing anyone, consist in not dividing anyone, perpetuating a form of faith which included the strange division, means that those who practice it did not re-enter in kingdom of heaven, because you enter in kingdom with the same innocence with which you left. The living number that left the divine abode of God did not include its numerical psychology the strange division of Satan, that in the microcosm called kingdom of heaven had divided in very remote times the angels of the Father. When everyone asks for reincarnation to be born again, everyone is careful not to ask for anything that is just a molecule of the imitation of Satan. This infinity care is due to the fact that every idea generated by every mind grows and expands its own primitive size into a colossal planet, and parallel to its development is also made and the think philosophy of the one who would generate the idea grow. This is expanding a light of the darkness. The opposite of division is union. The opposite of division is light. This is why there was written that every dividing kingdom precious in a kingdom, because the universe of light exists, because everything above everything on itself forms of the whole with the divine laws of God. The divine number that is not divided accompanies for eternity the Spirit, which had the extraordinary ability not to fall into any division. In its trials of light, the living number that it was divided distrusted in the future of the Spirit that divided. The distrust is so great that every living number is opposed to the future to accompany the Spirit again when it decides to try a new way of life. No one wants to be led without their entrance in the kingdom of heaven. Neither matter nor spirit decided. In the test of light, no one wants to be led without their entrance in the kingdom of heaven. Neither matter nor spirit decided. In the test of light, everything upon everything that it was asked for runs to the same risk in their respective living laws. The test of light consists of understanding oneself inside and out, molecule by molecule, virtue by virtue, for the such a wonder one's own effort to be reality. The human creature should not have created a system of light that everyone knows. The strange psychology of his system of light made the test of light even more painful. The strange creators of the strangest of light system emerged on this test planet would not be able to legalize equality because they did not take it such a trouble. They believe it is impossible for their limited minds. Then it was certainly impossible, nothing reading in the divine gospel of God, nothing was impossible. Only that was impossible to overcome in the test of life. The living number, by making an alliances of union with the Spirit, also made an alliances of molecular disunity. In his death or transformation, and be asking himself to know the death, because the Spirit did not know it. Not even all upon the all knew the death. The living number, by accepting to know the death, contributes with its own numerical molecular disunity, and the all upon the all asks for its own sensations in numerical degree. This is why the agonies prior to death are not equal in sensations or durations. All that, whether it might be, it's all upon the all, molecule by molecule participates in it. The process of the molecule disunity requires its rhythm, its feeling, its moments of departure, its characteristics at the moment of departure. Like sensation, they were not known, like the number participates in that, molecule by molecule, one by one. Each pore of the flesh, at the moment of death, was released from the fire of the Spirit, with a rhythm that is proportional to the living number, to the degree of importance that it was the Spirit gave to its living morality during the test of life. The moral has an impact on the physical because they were two magnetics that it was needed. Perfect morality comes from the divine gospel of God, and it does not come out of the strange laws of God. The strange system of life unbalance the perfect morality that everyone asks for in the kingdom of heaven. The living number and numeral of morality, which every human spirit asks for, was balanced in molecule by molecule. The test of life was to maintain such a balance. In the human creature, had not known the imbalance of the inequality that it was imposed on him. None would have known death or painful agony. All agony is proportional to the numerical imbalance of the whole over the whole. the disharmony caused by the strange psychology or the strange system of life born or called. Lest every spirit that experiences strange influence to the imbalanced universe, every unbalanced sensation that does not lead to anyone to the kingdom of heaven, is a sight that has microscopic sensation of the strange imbalance. Such a sight is in everything upon the molecule whole does not enter in the kingdom of heaven, because he fell during the trials of life, and a strange sensation called imbalance, which like a sight that he did not ask to know. When he asked for reincarnation in kingdom of heaven, and the microscopic imbalance will be the reason for the judgments against the spirit, because the sight speaks, expresses himself, and complains before God in his love of sight. The sight has free will, just as the spirit has free will and is everything upon everything. The living number participates in the greater judgment and lesser judgment. In judgment that the eye see and judgment that the eyes do not see. The living numbers participate in the colossal and the microscopic, materiality and sentimentality in every molecule and every virtue of the thinking beings in the flying saucers. The living numbers, when they conversing with the solar crew, they are said to by seeing the infinity of the microcosm and the microcosm. This power of seeing the infinity being a numeral micro is one of the most moving spectacles that can be witnessed, because the living microbe, since it seems that the being colossal managed to see at the same time the previous germ of the authors of the sins. They penetrate into all dimensions of reincarnation. This is possible because the living numbers are living molecules, the time that it has lived in the flying saucers galaxy celestial time. Microcosm in time the corresponding hierarchy in all the times corresponding to the reincarnation that it would experience in the infinity planet of the microcosm are times and fact subordinated to the celestial time of the flying saucers, and there is no reincarnation planet. Sun sends everything upon everything without time and number. Numeral time and number time, because all the time is born in numeral in the sense of the time. And all the number is born of innocence in time. Number and time form the whole that multiplies the infinity alliances of the whole. Hierarchies are born indispensable and never to cease. The living number in the flying saucers knows in its infinity journey through the cosmos that has been asking to know that it was written in the kingdom of heaven. What is asked for the kingdom must be fulfilled down to his own last molecule. This is not applied to those who ask for galactic proof, whether or planets, suns, or celestial ships. The request that in written in the solar book that all lives that are made promising of God to fulfill what is request. No one in the universe just to be there. In everyone there is a divine command that it came from himself. The situation that each one lives was asked to live it, because if it had not been asked, it would be never be known. The cause of in which each one is in the universe contributes to each of the having a cause. Without the help of the universe, no one will exist. The everything upon everything participates in everything that is it. The living number also asks, as the Spirit asks, to once again know a new destiny of new life. Because to achieve wisdom is necessary to know existences. There is no other way to become what you want to be. In the construction of the flyer sources, the everything upon everything that intervenes does so looking for what is always wanted, and it's always happened like this. All or very ancient dreams due to the spiritual desires are crowded. In the greatest of the cases that was supplanted in a moment given by the Spirit, is postponed because this or an existence is violate the law of God. This postponement is one of the wanted to be infinitely related, because the hope that comes from God is infinity allows eternal relativity to prove its own law, to support that the virtues of the molecules of the whole given each other on the involved infinity and eternal. The universe is mutual, egalitarian and created. The words of the light are what they are because they have respect the planetary sacred scriptures. The planet that do not respect or comply with what it was requested in kingdom of heaven, their humanities do not enter in the kingdom. Every agreement between the divine creator and his planet is fulfilled down to his last molecule. The living numbers are the first to announce the divine justice of God, because just think that each one claim for oneself in triumphal light is a numerical mental work, and the self of light or individualities also. The living number participates in the future reincarnation that is thinking the spirit will have it in the future. The reincarnation that each one will be had is born from the number, the ideas that the creature generates in the present life. Generating ideas forms a whole numerical wage that the value of each idea is added up to each other ideas. Aliases of the ideas are made to find the geometry that the future body must have. Whoever generated a greater number of ideas in the life of death had a higher idea generation score. He who thought a little generated fewer ideas, and the heavenly score is also little. The living number influences what you want it to be in every future. The numeral self of light runs parallel to the spiritual self of light. And when the spirits increases the reincarnation, they rise the number of numerical hierarchy. The numerical nature to the one existence is not the same as the another one existences, because spirit expands its knowledge as new forms of light are known. The thinking spirits come to the know material mathematical domain of the God's universe. The entire clusters of ideas of each existences is identified with the whole upon the whole. The numerical ascendancies of the one is own mathematicians according to the quality of the what he was thinking. No one can deceive this own numerical balance to his own sensations. The upon all the all in self established that his own numeral psychology, which is equivalent to saying that the future position that will be had in the universe comes from himself. The living number is developed in a spirit that requests planetary existences, also decided that like the rest of the virtues to be preferred in the free will of the spirit, molecular and sentimental expansion that it compete emotionally. One tries to equal to another in the mutual psychology. The well-being of the spirit is proportional to the balance of his own sensations, and the living number passes from dimension to dimension in spaces, heavens, universe that the human eye does not see. The numerical vibration makes a whole with it in feeling, and the spirit only feels his own fusion of magnetism in the flying sources. The cause of this law is more infinity is penetrating to understanding. The mutual theme between matter and spirit is to become the infinity itself. The solar verb is defined with the whole upon the whole, according to the degree of penetration that its solar crew members had it with the unknown. They do not fall asleep in microscopic things as happened with the human spirit. The notion of time in them is a psychology of testing, like the one requested by the human spirit. The living number, in his desire to know, project himself towards other dimensions, depending on the parallel distance of attraction that exists between it and its solar crew member. And it's the solar hierarchy that makes impossible possible, with infinity perfection, with conglomerates of living numbers, the flying sources, according to the divine solar hierarchy, and the power that has over the divine chairs of the divine universe, the greater the power of the solar bird. The greater power one has over the unknown, the science of the chairs teaches that with all abundant, all is technically subordinated to the hierarchies of the power of the Divine Father Jehovah, being the only one who knows everything. The reincarnations of the solar parents are with infinity laws of physical transformation. They are not subject to a single individuality as the human creatures, and the change of their physical appearances is instantaneous. Divine Father Jehovah, does the paranoides pinches have anything to do with this law? Certainly, yes, son. The face of the man with the body of the lion was for them the lot of transformation in solar reincarnation. These galactic creatures knew the region and all the things within the respective and solar hierarchies. Divine Father Jehovah, who were they? They, son, were solar fathers of the microcosm, who rebelled against the divine laws of the Divine Father Jehovah. They came from the planet Luxor, which means let there be the light, and is the same daughter of the planet that you saw when you were a child. I will remember it by your own divine grace, Father Jehovah. In future telepathic discourse, I will teach you, son, the paranoid history, so be Divine Father Jehovah, they will be done. Divine Father Jehovah, did these galactic creatures who violate your divine law know about the living numbers? They knew a son, and his wisdom has not been surpassed by anyone on this testing of planet. The only one who surpasses, and it was my firstborn son Christ, because he was a firstborn solar father of the microcosm, also called Kingdom of Heaven, and they were solar creatures of the microcosm. Let's continue, son. First, with the construction of the flying saucers. I will tell you, son, that depending on the loving power you have over the chairs of the universe is also the power you have to create a heavenly ship, the forms of the power to build them at infinity. And it never will have a limited. Studying, observing, or analyzing the construction of the flying saucers constitute one of the most fascinating experiences. Everyone wonders when they see an unknown model of the flying saucer, who are in their builders. What a galaxy do they come from, and what is corresponding solar hierarchy of their builders? What kind of divine cherubs command? Who is the oldest engineer? What is their kingdom? Among the infinite kingdoms, it will or will not be the firstborn sons, etc., etc. In the flying saucers, one sees wonder typically of the kingdom of heaven, in the degree corresponding to the divine solar hierarchy. In these ships' constructions, infinite mechanical geniuses are inspired, who, with the passage of time, will ask for reincarnation on the distant and unknown planets, with the sublime desire of making advance in their progress. progress that is also living before God. In like they will all abound all progressive speed and express himself before God in his lots of the progress, just as the Spirit speaks and expresses himself in his lots of the Spirit. The geniuses of the earth are spirit older than the moths. They have lived more, known more, seen more, and experienced more. They have a greater numbers of sciences that they have known, because for each existence they correspond as sciences. Geniuses specialize in his own ordained science. The importance of geniuses is infinity creation is very important. They bring a lot of well-being to no bad words in the world and cause a great evolution to the progress. The living numbers is in geniuses of the higher numerical hierarchy than in the others. Of the respective words, the living numeral acquaintances in the geniuses, prophesied sensations are in direct relationship with the needs of this or that speciality. The geniuses that the world has known were very small in number compared to the number of inhabitants of the planet. Divine Father Jehovah, why such a great disproportion between the number of geniuses and the population of the world? I'll tell you, son. As everything imaginable has free will in his own right, geniuses also had it. And since no one is obligated to go to the worst, one goes to the worst when one asks to go. Before coming to Earth or any other planet, the geniuses first ask how the lot of God on his respective planets before asking for reincarnation. In the case of Earth, the geniuses were little interested in it, because on solar television they saw and I see all the violation that humanity has committed to the divine mandate of God. They see the scandals. They see what is strange legalized inequality on a planet that is asked to be tested for a moment. In the eternity of God, they see hiding working on the base. They see everything, and they do not want to accomplish it, and they go and living among the human children because as the geniuses they are, they knew that this one molecule of influence on themselves from what happens on earth is enough, and is not entered in kingdom of heaven again. The rest is infinity. And most of the geniuses of the kingdom of heaven do not come to earth, and few who have known the world trial, none had it re-enter in kingdom, because it's more than one molecule that they violate in the law of God. And it thus that my Son was the creator and sustainer of the strange systems of life arises from the strange laws of God, have caused a delay in 20 centuries to the planet Earth. On every planet where God's divine law is violated or trampled, such a planet causes disruption and suspicions throughout the universe. The reason no one wants to be divided in judgment by God. Many geniuses wait a certain time of reincarnated to his own planet, hopefully and hopeful that there will be chances in the world that is violating God's law. Thus, an entire generation of child geniuses is preparing to be reincarnated for the millennium of peace. Because according to the hierarchy of the genius, many know that the strange world that emerged from the laws of God, disappearances from the human evolution, they are divine news of the kingdom of heaven. What each world they see did not in request planetary test is a known moment by the moment in the kingdom of heavens. The creators and those who defend and the strange system of life with unequal lots, because the greatest delay in the human evolution, because of them the planet was not what it should be had been. Multitudes of genius did not come to earth because of them. Human sciences remained in its infancy. This strange delay is the progress of the planet is paid for with those causes, second by second, idea by idea, molecule by molecule. These beings, who are in the most backwards in the human evolution, had had to calculate the numbers of the seconds that contains in the centuries of time that their strange region lasted. The living number, the molecule, the living death, thinkings, and the spirits will demand universal judgment before the Son of God. Those who took the strange debauchery of relying on force to impose laws in the trials of life would experience the crying and garnishings of teeth in the highest expression. The more the spirit became diluted into the strange system of life, which did not consider that of God, the degraded divine judgment it has to face. The everything about everything that suffers his own progress, matter and spirit, will complain against them. In the respective laws, the divine judgments of God made everyone speak, because nothing is impossible for God. The more microscopic indifference towards God, creation causing the divine judgments of Father, crying and garnishings of teeth. The sentimental aspect of oneself is judged by the same element that, during the trials of life, penetrates and saturates all the pores of the body of the flesh through the breathing. Right, Alpha and Omega. For all your listeners, for more of this content you just have been listening, please feel free to visit our website at telepathicreading.com, where you can find more of the scrolls of the Lamb of God. Thank you for your attention.